The distress beacon crackled through the void of space, its automated message repeating endlessly in the common galactic frequency. Ambassador Zethrak of the Valerian Council clutched his four-fingered hands together as he watched the holographic display flicker with static. The message was supposed to reach the hegemony fleet, he whispered to his aide, Krixtal. Our military allies, not them. On the viewscreen, a sleek but scarred vessel approached their dying diplomatic cruiser. The ship bore no elaborate decorations or gleaming hull plating like civilized species preferred. Instead, it was purely functional, angular, brutal, and covered in what appeared to be improvised armor plating, welded over battle damage that had never been properly repaired. Incoming transmission, Krixtal announced, her voice trembling. The screen flickered, revealing a bipedal creature with pale skin, strange fur only on the top of its head, and two forward-facing predator eyes. Behind it, others moved with purpose, no, with barely contained violence. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Retribution, the creature said, its voice carrying an odd mixture of calm professionalism and underlying menace. We received your distress call. What's your situation? Zethrak's throat sacs inflated with nervousness. These were humans, the Deathworlders who came from a planet so hostile that merely surviving there required them to become apex predators. The galaxy whispered stories about their world: crushing gravity, poisonous atmosphere, radiation bombardment, geological instability, and weather patterns that could kill entire ecosystems overnight. Captain Chen, Zethrak began carefully, there has been a mistake. Our beacon was intended for— Doesn't matter who it was intended for, Chen interrupted, her expression hardening. You sent an SOS, we answered. Now tell me what's happening. Before Zethrak could respond, his ship shuddered as another barrage struck their failing shields. Through the viewports, the sleek, predatory forms of krill raiders swarmed around them like metallic sharks. Pirates, Zethrak admitted. The Krill Syndicate. They've been hunting diplomatic vessels, selling the survivors into slavery. Our escort was destroyed, weapons are offline, and life support is failing. Captain Chen's expression grew cold. The kind of cold that Zethrak had heard about in the whispered tales of human warfare. How many ships? 12 attack frigates and 1 heavy cruiser, Krixtal reported from her station. Captain, our shields are at 8%. Chen turned away from the screen, shouting orders in the harsh, rapid-fire manner that humans used in combat. Rodriguez, plot an intercept course. Kim, charge all weapons. Nakamura, launch fighters. All hands, battle stations. Captain, Zethrak called desperately. You don't understand. There are 13 ships out there and you're alone. This isn't a rescue, it's suicide. Chen turned back to face him, and Zethrak saw something in those predator eyes that made his blood run cold. It wasn't fear or desperation. It was fury. Pure undiluted fury. Ambassador, Chen said quietly, you've never seen what happens when someone threatens those under human protection. Allow me to educate you. The human ship accelerated with impossible speed, its engines glowing like miniature stars. Within moments, it was among the krill raiders, weapons blazing. But these weren't the elegant energy weapons of civilized species. These were crude, brutal projectiles that punched through armor plating and explosive devices that turned ships into expanding clouds of debris. The krill, confident in their numerical superiority, moved to surround the single human vessel. It was a standard tactic that had served them well against other species. They had never fought humans before. The Retribution didn't try to escape or fight defensively. Instead, it charged directly at the largest concentration of enemy ships, firing continuously. When a krill frigate exploded, the human ship flew through the debris cloud without slowing, using the wreckage as cover. Impossible, Krixtal breathed. Their pilot is insane. No, Zethrak whispered, beginning to understand. They're angry. The human fighters that had launched weren't sleek interceptors. They were armored assault craft piloted by beings who had evolved to hunt in packs. They coordinated without apparent communication, striking weak points and retreating before the krill could respond, like predators separating prey from the herd. Within minutes, 6 krill ships were destroyed or disabled. The remaining raiders, realizing they faced something beyond their experience, began to retreat. But the humans pursued relentlessly, their damaged ship limping but still firing. Captain Chen, Zethrak called. They're retreating. You've won, have we? Chen's voice was grim. How many diplomatic ships have they taken? How many crews are in their slave holds? The final Krill-heavy cruiser turned to face the battered human vessel. For a moment, both ships hung motionless in space. Then the cruiser's captain apparently decided that discretion was the better part of valor and jumped to hyperspace, followed by the surviving frigates. Captain Chen's face reappeared on the screen, now bearing a fresh cut across one cheek. Behind her, the bridge was filled with smoke and sparks. "Ambassador, we're preparing to dock. Our medical team will treat your wounded." "Captain," Zethrak said slowly, "why did you come? Your people and mine. We've had minimal contact. We're not allies." Chen was quiet for a moment, and when she spoke, her voice carried the weight of something ancient and fundamental. Because when someone calls for help, you answer. That's what civilized beings do. As the human ship limped alongside their cruiser, Zethrak realized he had fundamentally misunderstood what the word civilized meant. He had thought it meant avoiding violence, maintaining order, following protocols. But as he watched human medics rush aboard to treat Valerian wounded, they'd never seen before. As human engineers began emergency repairs on systems they'd never encountered, as human security teams swept the ship to ensure their safety, he understood. Being civilized wasn't about avoiding violence. It was about choosing when to be violent, and being utterly ruthless in defense of those who couldn't defend themselves. The galaxy called them Deathworlders and whispered about their brutal planet. But Zethrak had learned something the galaxy didn't understand. It wasn't their world that made humans dangerous. It was their compassion, and anyone who threatened that compassion would face something far worse than mere predators. They would face humanity's fury,